Hey everybody, it's Tony George along with Scott Spreitzer. Welcome to the marquee matchup, AFC playoff action, Arrowhead Stadium. The Kansas City Chiefs, a 9.5-point favorite. Total sitting around 51 right now as we tape this here, taking on the Houston Texans, a team, Scott, that beat Kansas City earlier this year when Kansas City was shorthanded. I was a little surprised at this line. In my mind, I had it around 6. That's what I thought this would come out at. It's been as high as 10. It's dropped back down to 9.5 as Kansas City off the bye week. And of course, the Texans last week, Scott, had their hands full, grabbed victory from the jaws of defeat, down 16 points late in the third quarter and got it done against a very pesky Bills team who I thought a lot of people, agree with me this year. They were just a good all-around football team. A lot of offensive weapons on the field this week. Rested for Kansas City here. Of course, Mahomes taking on Watson. I'm a big Mahomes fan. I'm a Chiefs homer, and I know you've been bragging about Deshaun Watson all year long. And a hell of a game last week for him. And I tell you what, do you expect a shootout in Arrowhead with all this offensive firepower? Or do you think J.J. Watt and that defense against, and you and I have argued back and forth all year long, the improved Kansas City defense get it done this week? I'm thinking maybe it might be a little bit of a shootout. There was some decent weather in KC.
I'm thinking that there is a good in-game possibility as far as betting is concerned in this contest, because we're going to see early on and throughout the first quarter if the Houston Texans are going to be able to run the football. Carlos Hyde topped 1,000 yards, but it wasn't like anybody's, frightened by this Houston run game. But that's what they're going to have to go and do, I think, to be able to open things up against KC. And don't forget, KC late in the season signed Terrell Suggs, which is an extra pass rusher. So I think there's some in-game potential for this one as far as betting is concerned. Hey, listen, here's the thing. Tony mentioned where the line is now. It opened as low as 7.5. I know the Westgate had 7.5. There are a lot of 8s out there. Got up to 10 in some shops, 9.5 in a lot. Now, a couple that have 10 as we speak. Here's what I think you should do, and I'll get into more of an analysis on this game in a second. But I really think if you like Kansas City, get it now. I think if you like the underdog in this one, wait, because I think you'll get at least 10. Hey, you might even get 10.5 in this one if things go your way. But at the least, I think you'll get 10 if you like the dog, if you wait until close to game time. But listen, here's the deal. We have to figure out what is important about this game, that particular number or the situation these two teams are in. Because last week, as Tony mentioned, Houston's fighting tooth and nail to get past the Buffalo Bills in overtime. They were able to come from behind in a game that looked lost. They were down 16-0. They got the win. And then you had Kansas City, who had the week off. And Andy Reid on bye weeks. I mean, he comes off of bye weeks. He's 22-3 overall, 5-0 in the postseason, Tony. So you got to decide if that's worthy of the almighty point spread being upwards of 9.5, 10 points.
Yeah, and one thing about it, too, is one thing we all have to look at when you're handicapping the postseason, coaching. Sure. Bill O'Brien or Andy Reid. Now, Andy Reid is known to get you 9 or 10 wins every year. Same MO in Philadelphia when he was there. And then you get the big game, and it's all of a sudden the choke factor. I think that Bill O'Brien is a coach that he can outcoach, especially in Arrowhead. Your thoughts?
I'm kind of torn on that one because there's times, like I said, when you look at Andy Reid coming off a bye, even in the playoffs, being 5-0, where he knows how to get a team ready when he's got that week off in between games. And let's face it, the talent level at KC is better than a lot of the teams that he's had, although some of those in Philly were outstanding, and they came up short. Part of that had to do with weak coaching. Bill O'Brien's, he's an unproven commodity in the postseason. He had the win last week in overtime, but that's been it thus far. Listen, this really comes down to me also, before I can jump in and talk about a play on this game. As far as a total is concerned, you had talked about whether I thought it was going to be an over or an under. I want to see what's going on with Will Fuller. And as of right now, midweek, he's still listed as questionable. He's such an important key cog to that Houston passing game that if he is able to go, it might change things up a little bit, and it might lessen the factor of having Suggs up front on defense for KC.
Right, and bear in mind, too, Kansas City has a key injury at safety, so the safety over the top with experience is not going to be there against Bernard Hopkins, but I would be remiss in my duty, Scott, for all my family and friends back in Kansas City and even in Lincoln, Nebraska, if I didn't take Kansas City. So I'll tell you this much. Tease them down. I think they can cover the number on a tease. That's what I think, Scott.
So are we going to tease them down from 9.5, 10 down to 3.5, 4?
Yes.
Okay. 6-point teaser?
Get them, 2 teams, 6-point teaser, get them off the key through the key number 6 and 7. And I do think that rested week does make a difference, especially with Kansas City's running back unit, which was a little banged up. That being said, he's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Tony George. Be sure and tune in to the marquee matchup. There's a big game on Monday after this was
heard about it.
Called the national title between LSU and Clemson. Be sure and check it out. Get over to DocSports.com as well. Click the link in the description below, and we'll give you 50% off a weekly NFL package. No promo code needed. Get over there and check it out.